In today's world, where sea level rise could impact your way of living, hurricane storm surge takes on a whole new threat. Miami Beach, an expensive piece of real estate, sits nearly right on the water and has a special hurricane sensitivity.
We're a barrier island, and we're a low-lying barrier island, and of course all coastal cities are sensitive and they're experiencing the effects of sea level rise.
With the highest elevation of this low-lying barrier island only a few feet above sea level, Miami Beach Mayor Philip Levine is always thinking about storm surge and water levels.
We have a plan, obviously, for an evacuation, and of course we want all our individual residents to know their own personal plan as well. The city's on top of it, the city has a plan, and we also encourage all the residents of Miami Beach to have their own individual plans, as well as all businesses to have their plan as well in place.
Under certain conditions, an evacuation may be ordered. Your plan should be to go and stay with someone just outside of the evacuation area.
The hotels have their own evacuation plan, and of course, the city has an emergency operations department, and this department is willing and able to assist the businesses and the residents with their own individual plans as well.
But apart from hurricanes, it's tidal flooding that's been the problem until recently.
The fall of last year, we had king tide, and king tide's a period when the lunar eclipse and the water's pulled up to its highest level, and we had to be prepared. The world's media descended upon us, a couple of U.S. senators, and we held our breath, but thank God it was very, very dry in those hot spots for the first time in many years, but you don't declare victory. This is just one small positive step in a long war that we plan to fight over many, many years.
Miami Beach took the proactive step of keeping the high seawater out with underground pumps.
Well, I'll tell you, we had our fingers crossed. I was elected a little over a year and a half ago, and one of the big problems, of course, is our sea level rise issue and our flooding. We call it sunny day flooding. So this is one of the big responsibilities of our administration. And what we did immediately is put in a pump program, and we looked at the hot spots, 5th and Alton, 10th and Alton, Sunset Harbor, and we installed these major pumps. Obviously, sea level rise is a long-term, medium-term issue. And I think that you know, when you have more water around you, it makes it that much more challenging. I'll just tell you that Miami Beach is the place that everyone loves, everyone's coming, and we're on the forefront of aggressively fighting back on sea level rise, and we're excited to have that responsibility thrust upon us.
Now check this out. Florida International University has developed a web app called the Sea Level Rise Toolbox. With it, you can visualize the future. See how up to a 6-foot rise in sea level might affect your neighborhood. Go to eyesontherise.org/app and enter an address or location. For this example, we put in the Fontainebleau Hotel at 44th and Collins on Miami Beach. It shows the elevation there as about 2.6 feet above sea level. When you click on the Sea Level Rise tab and slide the bar from 0 to 6 feet, you can see more and more blue. That means more and more of Miami Beach is now covered in seawater. You can also check out where you live or any location in South Florida. Again, the website is eyesontherise.org/app, and it's free. While the impact of rising sea levels is a long-term concern, storm surge from a hurricane is something we need to be prepared for right now. Jamie Rome is the storm surge specialist at the National Hurricane Center. CBS 4 meteorologist John Gerard talked to him about storm surge risk.
Getting the message across that storm surge should be our #1 concern is a real challenge for hurricane forecasters because so many people don't understand what storm surge is.
Storm surge in its simplest form is just the abnormal rise in sea level that comes from the strong winds of a hurricane. So the strong winds are simply pushing the ocean on land.
So why is it so hard for people to understand?
We see the wind blow every day. You see a thunderstorm, the wind blows hard, trees fall down. So it's very easy for the average person to visualize what strong winds can do. How many times does the average person see the sea level rise 10 feet, 20 feet, and move inland 20 miles? And so since so few people have experienced that phenomenon, it's very difficult to visualize.
To simplify the message, storm surge will now be measured in feet above ground level. For example, I'm 5 feet 9 inches. If the surge comes in at 6 feet, I would be underwater.
The killer in hurricanes is storm surge, not wind. Wind is only killing about 8% of total lives lost in hurricanes. Water, and especially storm surge, is the hazard that is killing people, so we want the public to be aware.
That's why a real effort is now being made to simplify the storm surge message.
So it'll be a graphical display of who would be under a storm surge watch or warning if it were to be issued. But this year is not an official issuance of a warning. It's a prototype graphic. It's sort of giving you an early look at what a storm surge warning would look like next year and in 2017 when we follow up with the real dissemination.
So even though the graphics are still in the experimental phase this season, there is still a lot of value there because
it will still convey critical information such as the areas most likely to receive life-threatening flooding.
South Florida is one of those areas. Our most recent storm surge devastation was 10 years ago in the Keys from Hurricane Wilma. Another area is Houston. Hurricane Ike flooded that city back in 2008.
After that, the Hurricane Center really began to address the issue of storm surge, and you can bet that's a message that'll continue to be front and center. John Gerard, CBS 4 News.
So what if a storm surge evacuation order is given? Do you know if you live in an evacuation zone? We'll help you find the answer to those questions later in our second half hour.